Guess what? You are so much stronger than you think. In this episode, I'll prove it to you. Hey, this is Steph, and welcome to the Together Moving Forward podcast. A podcast helping 2S LGBTQI plus people embrace self love and self respect so you can celebrate yourself with pride. In this episode, you'll discover how the parts of yourself you were taught to hide became proof of your strength and shaped your LGBTQ identity, why survival mode doesn't mean weakness, and how it quietly builds resilience and pride over time, what self respect truly looks like after trauma, and how to practice it while honoring your full identity. Today's conversation is about realizing that the parts of yourself that were taught to hide are not flaws, but proof of your strength. Hello again, I'm Stef Vachon, and I am a human being. Welcome back to the Together Moving Forward podcast. Embrace your 2S LGBTQI plus identity with pride through self love. No matter where you stand in the 2S LGBTQI plus spectrum, we are all connected. And if you ever struggle to fully love and respect yourself, you're not alone. And this podcast is here to help you. As someone who has navigated my own journey of self acceptance as a queer, I know the power of hearing voices that reflect our own experiences. In this podcast, you'll hear real stories and conversations that leave you with practical tools, fresh perspectives, and the confidence to embrace who you are with pride. To start, I need to say that I'm not a psychologist, a specialist, or someone with a college degree. I'm just a regular guy here to share with all of you and support each other. I'll share my journey, and we will all share our journeys together. We'll learn from each other how to move forward. Today, we are going back in time. I talked about this in the very first episode of the podcast, and I want to show you that you are so much stronger than you think you are. I used to believe I was weak, a victim, and that I would feel that way for the rest of my life. I never thought I could feel proud of who I am. But today, I can stand tall and proudly tell you that I am truly one of the strongest person I've ever met. I never imagined in a million years that I would be able to say this about myself. And maybe this resonates with you too. My childhood was marked by homophobia, bullying, and abuse, teaching me to hate myself as I grew up. It stole my childhood and a significant part of my life. When I look back today, I clearly see my life divided in four phases: the before the abuse, the during, the after, and the now. The before is extremely significant for me. Reflecting on who I was as a young boy has helped me understand the impact the abuse had on my life, how much it has changed me for many years until I finally decided to begin my healing process in my 30s. I still have very clear memories of who I was, how I felt about myself, and the dreams I had, even as a young 6 or 7 years old boy. Little Steph was full of life and confidence. I had many talents, and I knew it. I felt it. Even as a child, I was already showing strong artistic abilities. I always needed to be creating something or working on a project. As long as I had something new to work on, I was happy. Even back then, I felt I had something special inside of me, and I already believed I would accomplish great things one day. However, I also felt out of place in my family, as if I didn't belong. I can still remember really clearly looking around and thinking, what am I doing here? Like most kids on my street, I eventually started skating lessons around 6 years old. A few years later, they announced a club competition. From what I remember, all I really did was skate around the rink with my hockey skates. And somehow, I won a gold medal. That day changed everything. From that moment on, I decided I wanted to become a fabulous figure skater. That was it. That was my dream. I convinced my dad to buy me real figure skates with toe picks, and I was officially on a mission. The next season, at 9 years old, there was another club competition. This time I had my figure skates, and I was already landing axles and double jumps with barely any formal training. For 1979, that was pretty impressive for a young boy. I was the only one doing so in my level. I wanted to win the regionals and then my first provincial competition, winning by such a large margin that people started gossiping that I was too strong for my category. I still clearly remember that competition. To this day, I can hear the music and picture my routine in my head. The day after, while we were driving home and taking the exit to my village, my dad asked us to be quiet and turn up the volume of the radio. I heard my name being announced along with my victory. You'd think I would have been incredibly proud, but what I remember instead is this strange feeling in my body, like I knew something was about to change. I sensed that a new chapter of my life was beginning, and I could feel it deeply. That's when the second phase of my life began, the during. I will summarize this phase quickly because I don't want to give it any more power, energy, or importance that it already took from me. In reality, it became the same painful experience repeated every day, especially during high school. From the moment I woke up until the moment I went to bed, I was surrounded by insults, humiliation, fear, and emotional pain. Faggot, homo, sissy figure skater. There wasn't a single place where I felt safe or protected. I tried asking for help a few times, but since I wasn't heard, I eventually stopped trying and carried everything alone. Every day meant hiding as much as I could, trying to become invisible, constantly anxious about what might happen next. Threats, fear, shame, and loneliness followed me everywhere. Over time, the words others used against me didn't just hurt me, they became part of me. I started believing them. I repeated them to myself. I treated myself with the same cruelty I had been taught. A normal day at school for me was walking to my locker, hiding under my clothes, putting my head in my locker while taking my books, and walking as quickly as possible to the washroom, trying to be invisible. There, I spent most of my time in the same stall, hiding from everyone, even in between classes. This was the only place I felt safe. I had synchronized my watch with the school alarm to get to class. About a minute before it was going to ring, I left my stall and ran to my class. I did that for almost the entire 5 years of high school. In class and in the hallways, the words kept coming at me, along with physical threats. The last thing I thought was that I could defend myself, so I just took it all in. My health declined, anxiety followed me everywhere, sleep became difficult, and every part of my life turned into survival mode. Everything I did became calculated. I monitored my body, my posture, my voice, my gestures, always trying to avoid looking too gay, always acting, always performing. Even skating, the thing I loved most, began to fall apart. I eventually quit competitive skating after making it to nationals here in Canada, convinced that leaving would somehow free me. At 18, I joined professional ice shows, thinking I could escape the shame and the guilt by traveling the world and living the party life. Then to new cities, new jobs, new relationships. But no matter where I went and what I did, the weight of it always followed me because it lived inside me. I kept searching for happiness everywhere, new places, new people, new adventures, new lovers. But every time I arrived somewhere new, anxiety would take over and I wanted to leave again. I thought the perfect place would fix me, but I was looking everywhere except inside myself. Even coming out didn't make the pain disappear. The words, the fear, the shame stayed very real inside my body and mind. I became obsessed with my image, my appearance, and my body. I believed expensive clothes, muscles, and trying to look masculine enough would finally make me happy. They didn't. I spent money, time, energy, and parts of my health trying to fix something from the outside that needed healing from the inside. Slowly, I lost myself completely. That's when the next chapter began. The after. By the time I reached adulthood, I felt emotionally empty. My soul felt exhausted. After years of acting, repressing my emotions, pretending everything was fine, and constantly freezing instead of speaking up, I finally reached a point where I could no longer continue like that. After nearly losing myself in my early 30s, I began a long healing process, working on myself through therapy, group supports, and reaching out for help. During that time, I realized and finally accepted that I needed to change my life to truly learn how to love and respect myself. It was the beginning of my healing journey. Piece by piece, I started reconnecting with little Steph I had lost so long ago. I finally saw how deeply the abuse and bullying had shaped my life, how I communicated, how I reacted, how I loved, and how I treated myself. I realized that for years, I had been simply surviving. I had learned to freeze. I had learned to accept disrespect. I had learned to silence myself. Healing wasn't fast. It wasn't easy, and it's not over. It wasn't perfect, but it is powerful. I learned to communicate better. I learned to forgive myself. I learned to be kinder to myself. I learned to recognize progress. And yes, I am still learning. Setting boundaries, especially with people I love, can still be difficult. But today, I am proud of the work I've done, who I am becoming, and the strength I continue to build. And then I met my husband, one of the greatest gifts of this phase of my life. The now truly began the day my husband and I welcomed our son in our lives. That day created a clear before and after in my story. Becoming a father transformed me deeply. It helps me heal by allowing me to give him everything I never had: safety, unconditional love, stability, truth, and a home where he is free to exist exactly as he is. To teach him those values, I must live them myself. So every day, I choose to love myself, respect myself, and continue healing. I promised him I would listen. I promised him I would protect him. I promised him I would admit when I'm wrong. I promised him he would never doubt that he is loved. To do that, I also continue protecting the little Steph inside me, reminding him that he is now safe. Returning to figure skating at 55 was another beautiful part of this phase. Stepping back on the ice feels like coming home. Reconnecting with the joyful child I was before life changed. It's no longer just about skating, it's about reclaiming my passion, my identity, and celebrating with pride the resilience that got me here. Today, I stand as a proud queer man. I'm a husband, a father of a wonderful young boy, whom we officially adopted after being his foster parents for 4 years. Through skating and the love of my family, my husband and my son, I reconnect with the little Steph, who was once full of life and promise. It gives me the strength to reinvent myself and embrace this second chance at life. Most importantly, I finally respect myself, I finally love myself, and I am finally living a life I once believed would never be possible. As we close this episode, I want you to take a moment to reflect on your own story. So much of what you were taught to hide was never weakness. It was adaptation, protection, and survival. Today's conversation was about recognizing that your journey, even the painful parts, shaped a strength you may not yet fully see. The way you learn to endure, the way you learn to keep going, and the moment you begin to respect yourself, for that is the moment pride starts to grow. The fact that you're here with me right now, listening today, is already proof of how strong you really are. Showing up for yourself takes courage. Nothing about who you are is broken. Your identity is not something to fix, it's something to honor. And every step you take towards self respect brings you closer to living fully, honestly, and with pride. Together, let's keep moving forward, one honest step at a time. I'm always looking for inspiring guests for the podcast, and I would love to have you or someone you know share your journey with pride. The world needs your story, it has the power to change lives, and your voice matters. Please reach out and send me an email today. It is already time to say au revoir just for now. So please join me every Monday and Thursday for brand new episodes of the Together Moving Forward podcast and learn how to embrace your 2S LGBTQIA plus identity with confidence and pride. If you enjoy this podcast, be sure to subscribe so you never miss an episode on how to love and respect yourself. If you found this episode useful, share it with a friend or someone you know in our 2S LGBTQIA plus community so you can help them embrace self love. It might seem like a small gesture, but it truly makes a huge difference. Wherever you are from in the world, we are all connected. Remember, solidarity beats hate. The more we unite, the stronger we become. Because at the end of the day, we are all equally human and we all deserve the same rights. One last thing before I go. Put your hand on your heart and repeat after me. Yes, you and me together. I am so much stronger than I ever believed I could be. Yes, I am so much stronger than I ever believed I could be. From shame, guilt, silence, and rejection to pride, freedom, healing, and love. Together moving forward. Thank you for showing up today and for being part of this journey. Sharing this space of growth, healing, and love with you truly matters to me. See you real soon. Ciao. Subscribe now and share to uplift, empower, and make a real difference in our community.